Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back to some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we're talking about everybody's favorite or least favorite topic, and that is creating content and then actually getting that out in front of the people who need to see it to grow your business. I know which side I lean on, but we'll save that for the episode. I have an awesome guest with me, Ryann Liebl. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
I want to let you guess, which side of that fence do you think I'm on without knowing anything about me?
I would say, given you have a podcast, you're probably very much pro content.
I am pro content. I hate creating it. Actually, fun fact, that's why I started a podcast, because I hate it so much. I'm like, well, if I start a podcast that at least puts content out there and I don't have to sit on Instagram all day. So I want to learn from you just as much as our listeners do, because this is a struggle for me. So I hope you can make it easier. But talk to me about what you see small business owners doing in the way of content, where we're doing it right, where we're doing it wrong, where we're over complicating it. What's your perspective on what's going on in the world of content?
Well, I've been in this particular world of marketing, PR, commercials, ads, content for over 20 years. I started in Los Angeles and that whole world when brands were spending millions and millions of dollars to create content in general. And I've seen over time how that has shifted, right? So companies now have access to the internet and other sources to make their own content, right? And then, of course, what I find over and over again, especially with small, medium-sized businesses or even startups, is that they just don't have the bandwidth or the manpower to actually create the level of content that they need to create. And the thing is like, we are in a new world now, right? So we work with companies of all different levels. We work with Fortune 500, and we also work with smaller companies like IT companies and manufacturing companies and things like that. We also work with B2C companies, like people who have skincare line or they sell things on Amazon or whatever it might be. But one for one, no matter the level of the client or the company, they don't have enough manpower to get the amount of content across the finish line that they really need to do. And the thing is like the internet right now, it's almost like a monster or a beast, and it has to be continually fed. And a lot of people don't understand that. And they don't understand too, like the younger generations use the internet to find out more about your company and your brand. They want to see company testimonials. They want to see success stories. They want to see a company overview. They want to check you out on social media and see what your culture is and what you're all about. They want to have access to video about your products and your branding. I mean, people also need, content for HR and training. And a lot of companies are sort of, they're still kind of hanging on to the old school model of, well, I'll do word of mouth and I'll put something in the newspaper, or I'll try an ad or two a few times a year, but they're struggling because they are not keeping up with the times. So it's a bandwidth issue, and it's something we hear all the time. So for us, we've come up with solutions for that. Like, we actually sit down with our clients and we carve out strategy for 6 months to a year. We come up with plans, and this is what you have to do, and this is the holes, this is what you're missing, this is how we can fill in the hole. And then we can even do all the way to ad buying for people, and that's for a B2C or a B2B company. So there's no hand holding with us. We can just, we ideate, we come up with strategy, we go all the way through production of that content, and then all the way to ad buying and even getting it out there to the public, which is a huge deal for people because, again, they really don't have the in-house teams. And even like I said, with these larger companies, which we experienced all the time, and we've worked with Anheuser-Busch, we've worked with Train Technologies, we've worked with Harley Davidson. Like, it's crazy. They don't even have enough people in-house. So that's why they take on outside vendors like us, because they're like, they're already overloaded with basic things like, oh, we have to put a manual out or a brochure, or there's this event coming up and 100 people are going to be there and we have to promote that, tell everybody about it, and then we need some sort of video at the beginning to announce it, and that's enough for them. So manpower and bandwidth. But I would say, like, if you're on the edge about it, you're just like, oh, we don't have the budgets or we can't figure it out. That's just the wrong way to think about it, because marketing and PR in the world is essential for succeeding and thriving. And we are in a completely new landscape now, and that beast has got to be fed. So
Yeah, I agree with you. And I even heard the other day that it's I'm gonna sound so old when I say this, but that people are actually searching on TikTok for things like best pizza near me.
yeah.
That blows my mind that that's not a Google search. Like, that now social media is a search engine. And I think that's both crazy and scary and a huge opportunity all at the same time. But like you're saying, it needs to be fed. There's kind of oversimplifying it here, two schools of thought, right? It's the get content out there that represents you and your brand, that's good content, of course. And then there's your brand needs to be a human being, and you need to have that human element, and the owner should be the one in front of the camera. I mean, how do you're working with Harley Davidson? I know that's not happening at that
Yeah.
scale. How do small businesses navigate that? Like, what do you do for your clients in regards to having the personal human feel without putting out stale content?
I mean, that's an interesting question. We always push the concept of storytelling. We find
Mm,
that storytelling is the most effective way to get ROI and to increase sales. And that's sort of interesting for me, because my background was in film, TV, and commercials in LA, right? And all that was storytelling. But the same thing applies now for any kind of company, even a B2B company, which is crazy. Like, you would think that a manufacturing company wouldn't have to tell their story. They would just talk about their products, or they make a sales video or whatever. But no, they need to tell their story. They need to talk about who they are, how they started, what's their history, the fact that they're US based, like all of those positive elements. And then, of course, you can go into what differentiates you as a company, right? And then how amazing your products are. That's a no-brainer. But people need that storytelling element. And that's actually pretty easy to do. It's actually not that complicated. I mean, again, this is a bandwidth issue, right? So an owner of a manufacturing company, he knows he has to innovate, right? Like, he knows it. He sees it around him. He's old school though, and he's like, oh, well, I don't want to stop doing what I was doing because it works and I've got, I'm selling product, but maybe things are slowing down, or maybe a sales in a certain area isn't picking up as much as it used to, or maybe the younger employees that they're bringing on need help with HR or training and they're not responding to traditional training methods, right? These are all things that you have to look at, but it's actually a fairly simple thing to do. And it doesn't have to be like, the owner doesn't have to be the face of anything. You can create really effective video, whether it's a mixture of live video with animation, right? Really fun text on screen. You can show your facility, right, with really high quality video. You can have a really great voiceover that is personable and not commercial, and very down to earth, which sort of tells your history and your story. And honestly, from just a few live shoots or live capture, you can create all kinds of content from just a few days of shooting. And that's what we do a lot. Like, we'll do a 2 or 3 day shoot at a facility. We'll sit down, we'll interview some staff, we'll get an overall view of what the facility looks like, an exterior of it, interior, we'll get drone footage. And from that, I can carve out 50 pieces of content. I can even carve out pieces of content that help their sales staff, right? I can carve out content that helps their HR. Like I can ask certain questions when I sit down with people that are HR questions. And then I can make sure that there's product videos. So when they're going to a trade show, right, or they're trying to introduce their product to a new client, or they're trying to reach, you know, a new sales prospect, they have tools to do so. And sort of you can say that that's content, right? Yeah, it's content, but it has multiple uses over a wide pool, right? It can be used in all kinds of, you can use it on your website. You can use them on social media. You can use it as sales tools, training tools. Like I said, you can use it at a trade show. You can even carve a little about us video, right? Tells the history. You can use that as at an event, right? Where everybody's celebrating the end of the year and they made more sales than they've ever made. And you can show that video. So content can be all kinds of different things, but the point is that creating and carving out those visualizations are really important. And video is just a huge part of that. Good copywriting matters, obviously, but video is a huge part of it. And you can use that for a year or more. You know, a good about us video, like a company overview, it can be used for a while, you know, unless, of course, you're innovating, you add a new sector of your company or there's a new product. But even then, you can re-edit and add certain things in. And, you know, so it's not like, you know, a lot of people talk about, well, you have to be, you have to do a TikTok video and you have to be on camera and you have to, no, when you're a B2B or a B2C company, just like with the major brands, right? When you're talking about PR and marketing, quality is a huge part of your communication. And that has to match what you do as a company, right? You don't want to just put together something on your phone and then talk about something and try to give a tour, you know, on your iPhone. That's not going to create the effect that you want, right? Because your client, right, is also quality, right? Anybody that's going to partner with you or take you on or say, oh, great, you know, I'm a distributor, I want to work with you as a wholesaler or whatever, they're going to expect a certain level of quality. They're not going to go looking for TikTok videos of you, you know, on your iPhone, right? So for us, content doesn't just mean throwing things out to the ether and hoping that they stick. It's a very specific strategy. And we take those best practices that we learned with some of the top brands on the planet, and we apply that to any level of company. It's that same kind of thing. And what that does is it, you know, puts your brand at a certain level, and it makes it more impressive in general, which is important. That quality factor is something that cannot be ignored. And far too many people do that, or they think like you're sort of saying, well, I'll just throw stuff out there and I'll record it on my phone and that'll be enough. Nah, it's not appropriate if you're a B2B or a B2C company. Like it's appropriate if you want to be an influencer, but it's not appropriate if you know, want to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, which I think is where a lot of companies, they kind of get lost with that. At least this is from my perspective. It's like they think the owner needs to be the one out there putting out the TikToks, shaking their butt and doing whatever. But to me, that we actually did an episode a couple of weeks ago at this point about founder-led sales and how that's a dangerous trap to be in, because if everyone sees the founder and only the founder out in public on TikTok, they only want to talk to them for sales. And you've just limited yourself to having those conversations. You can never grow outside the capacity of the founder or whoever's doing those videos. So on the flip side, what I hear you saying is before you're ever filming a piece of content or doing anything, you're looking out as far as possible and saying, how many different use cases can I produce content for in the smallest amount of time? And walk me through that a little bit, because I think that's where companies get overwhelmed with putting out content and doing social media and PR even. Like, what are you looking at when you're first sitting down with a company to say, here's all the different avenues I can reach, here's the different PR methods, here's the different styles of content? What does that process look before we even begin filming?
Well, I'll give you an example. We have a pet food company that we work with, right? And we've been working with them consistently for the last 2 years to create animated video and then live video ads commercials, right? And so what we do with them is we sit down with them at the beginning of the year and we carve out the need, right? What products are you launching? What is the timeline, right? That particular piece of content needs to be gotten out to hit the proper timeline. So when you launch it, whatever, it's there and there's visualizations on it, etc. What are you trying to get from the release of this content? And then we also we look at what was effective from what we did before, right? So we're always statusizing everything. We research and we survey and we staticize, right? And if we see that something had a better click-through rate, which means that somebody clicked on it and they actually purchased something, or it has a really good amount of impressions, right? A lot of people cycled through it and looked at it and got eyeballs on it, or whatever it might be, right? We look at those statistics and then we strengthen and repeat what the successful action was, right? And so that helps us then carve out the strategy. So let's say, okay, in 6 months, we need to do blah, 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 blah. These are the products that are launching, and we work it backward. So for them, like we did a bunch of live commercials with pet actors, right? And then we also have animation teams in-house that can do motion graphics and amazing animation. And then they can add text on screen, right, of the product and da-da-da-da-da. And we know from working with them that the most effective video they've created is the live video with real pet actors and actual actors. It's not the animation stuff, which is cute, and we've done that, and the drawing animation, which we have the capability to do. That hasn't been most effective. So that's one example, right? And then the timeline is set, we carve it out, we get the shoots done, and we make sure to hit those dates when they need those pieces of content. Or I can give you another example. We're currently working with a large manufacturing facility up in New York. And what we're able to do, which is sort of unique, is we can go into any category of business. So we've done banking, finance, IT, manufacturing, like I've said, all kinds of B2C products, et cetera. That's also kind of rare that a vendor or creative agency can do that, but we have the capability to do that. So there's this manufacturing company in New York. They have not updated their video, which is pretty normal of manufacturing. They haven't done anything in about 15 years, right? It might even be more than that, like nothing. There's no company overview, which explains who they are and their culture. And they have these amazing manufacturing facilities, and they work with some of the top brands on the planet, like L'Oreal and the Cake Boss guy, right? Who gets cakes and ships cakes everywhere. And they do packaging. And what they do is kind of amazing. And they have this end-to-end process where they have rolls of paper that get made into boxes, and then they do the designing of the boxes, and then the logos and the graphic design on the boxes. It's cool, right? And they're a sustainable company. They have a huge solar field that helps, So what I did with them was I sat down with them and I explained like modernization of your content and your video, right? And the importance of that. So we were able to very simply carve out 2 days of shooting, right? That's it. That's all they needed to cover all these facilities, to show their happy employees, to show the process, the exterior of the thing, the solar field, all of these important elements. And then they're going to get pieces of content that are voiceover with really cool cinematic visuals, a bit of text on screen. And from that, they're going to have an About Us video, which talks about their history and who they are, a cut down of that video. They're also going to get their super plant video, which is their mega plant. It's 150,000 square feet. That's going to be a longer video, and then cut downs from that. And then they're going to get little social cuts on everything. And these are things that their sales guys can use. These are things that they can put on social media. And that's just an example, right, of with only 2 days of shooting, there's all this content they're going to get out of it. It's like 35 pieces of content, which is no joke for a company that didn't have anything for 15 years, right? And it actually might be longer than that. I might be being nice, and that's a huge deal to them. And they're super excited because it's going to modernize them. And they've got these old school guys who've been there forever. And they've got these younger people coming up now who are going to end up taking over this company in the next 10 years. And the younger guys are like, we need this video, right? So it's things like that. These are just simple strategies. Again, you find out where the holes are. And we have proprietary information too in technology that we use that helps with communication and finding your target audience, right? Because your target audience is key. You can throw out all kinds of things to everybody, but if it's not specific and you don't know who your audience really is, it's not going to be effective. So we help you also identify your audience, the proper audience. Because again, our goal is always more sales and more ROI. We want companies to expand and we want them to do well. And we want whatever we do for them to be really, really effective. So.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's this conversation of, do you just get it done and put it out there, or do you put a little bit of thought into it and get it done right so it actually works for you? So I love your approach to this. And I'm sure there's too many companies in the same bucket with, we haven't updated anything in 15 years. So yeah. Let's hope this conversation changes that. So Ryann, I thank you for coming here. Where can the listeners go and maybe either learn more about working with you or see examples of your work?
You can find us at expertcreativehelp.com. And our company is called Light Touch Media Group. And our that is lighttouchmg.com. And then, of course, we're all over social media. So we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can always reach out to us there if you find something. But we have lots of examples of our work online. So if you search for Light Touch Media Group, you'll see all the different kinds of fun things that we do.
I love it. All of that is down below in the show notes, wherever you're watching, listening. So go click around, check it out, get some ideas for your company. And hopefully this helps you get your message out there and helps you rethink about the way you put out your social media and your content. Ryann, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Harmonious at Lunch podcast. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and we want to invite you to join us in the Small Business Success Facebook group, our private group where guests and listeners come together to grow your business. We want impact-driven entrepreneurs who are ready to go to the next level in this group so we can all share ideas, collaborate, and grow our businesses together. Go to whatif.com/group, and we want to invite you to join today. See you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch.